Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, is this the end of the casting couch? Will those allegations against Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein of sexual harassment and assault finally lead to Hollywood to rethink its attitudes on gender equality? Also, an OECD report reveals while a growing number of nations have introduced policies on reducing the pay gap, female workers are still, on average, earning 15% less than their male peers. And how Israeli and Palestinian women are wanting to change the dynamic in the conflict-torn region. But we begin with a story that continues to make headlines across the globe, and for a number of women, sadly, an all too familiar tale. That time when a woman finds herself facing sexual harassment or abuse from a more powerful male. According to the New York Times, at least 8 women have reached settlements with movie mogul Harvey Weinstein over his alleged inappropriate conduct with women. The ongoing revelations have shed the spotlight on the discrimination women face in the movie industry, with some already saying that this could indeed be a watershed moment. Charles Pellegrin has more.
TV reporter Lawrence Yvonne only met Harvey Weinstein once, but the trauma of that encounter meant she kept quiet for a decade.
That's where he cornered me in this vestibule and leaned in and tried to kiss me, which I immediately rebuffed and said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I had no idea that that's what this was. I'm sorry, I have a very serious boyfriend and I'm not interested. And I thought it would end there. Mm-hmm. But that's when he blocked the entrance or exit for me and said, well, then just stand there and be quiet. And he immediately exposed himself and, began pleasuring himself.
This story was just one of many similar reports that made international headlines and led to Weinstein being quickly fired from the movie studio he founded. Some in the industry are now ringing the alarm and asking Hollywood's male-dominated culture to change.
In terms of the community and the culture in Hollywood, this is a gigantic wake-up call to a lot of people, I think. And it's a sign that the culture is moving to a place where you can't get away with this.
Weinstein is not the only powerful movie industry figure to have attracted controversy because of allegations of sexual violence in recent years. His name can be added to a list that includes Bill Cosby, Woody Allen, and Roman Polanski. Women in show business not only have to deal with an environment where this behavior is often swept under the rug, they also have to deal with unfair working conditions.
Gender equality has been a very major problem for the industry for years, and increasingly is under pressure to do something about it, whether it's pay equality or equality of opportunity behind the camera.
In an op-ed for the New York Times, Lena Dunham, the creator of HBO's Girls, called on Hollywood's men to take a stand and break this silence.
The reason I am zeroing in on the men is that they have the least to lose and the most power to shift the narrative, and are probably not dealing with the same level of collective and personal trauma around these allegations.
Women in Hollywood are facing an uphill battle. Between 2015 and 2016, the percentage of women directors in the industry went from 9% to 7%.
Now, a new report from the OECD about gender equality actually includes some good news. Yes, roughly 2/3 of OECD countries have introduced new policies on pay equality since 2013. This as more nations are also implementing paid paternity leave. But there's also some not so good news, with a female worker still earning on average almost 15% less than her male counterpart. And apparently that's barely budged since 2010. Joining me now is one of the authors of this report, Willem Adema. Willem, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Just take us through some of the report's major findings.
Some progress is being made in terms of measures to reduce pay inequalities at the workplace, make pay more transparent to workers so that they can see whether they're unfairly paid or not. There are measures, increasing number of countries try to change behavior of men, which would facilitate mothers to participate more in the labor force. So there is some progress made, but the gender pay gap seems stable. The division in paid and unpaid work hasn't changed that much. And interestingly, to us, from the responses to the questionnaire, it appeared that violence against women was a main priority in OECD countries. And that surprised us.
Why did it surprise you?
I don't think it had come to us as one of the major issues. I mean, you may expect this to be a major issue in less developed countries, but it is a major policy issue in OECD countries, and obviously that has a bearing on the productivity of the workplace.
Were there any countries that actually stood out in terms of making truly significant progress?
There are countries which have made major changes in recent years. Germany is one big, important OECD countries. Since the mid-2000s, it has changed its policy stance towards whether women should be in the workforce or not. Completely, it has invested in childcare. It has changed its parental leave system, providing strong financial incentives for fathers to take at least 2 months leave, and most recently tried to stimulate both men and women to work part-time for a very short period of time. That is a sea change compared to, let's say, 10 years ago.
On this show, we report constantly on the need to change mindsets and how important that is when you're dealing with stereotypes.
Very much so. I mean, if you look at the current outcomes, they are embedded, or rooted is probably a better word, in the employment decisions and the education decisions 10, 20, 30 years ago. But still, girls at school at the age of 15 are far less likely to choose a STEM topic, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, than boys do. Maybe there's a bit of peer pressure, you can't go and study that. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint that exactly, but it's very important to change.
I'm just curious to know, Willem, as an economist, but more importantly as a man, are you frustrated with the slow degree of progress being made?
I would say, right, there is a moral imperative for gender equality. Working for the OECD, I think our role is to put forward the economic case. That's what people expect from the OECD. If you look at it, if you look at data on education, girls, young women at the moment have, on average, of course, a higher level of educational attainment than boys when they leave school, stroke university. So there's a very strong economic reason to make use of that human capital. And what you see is that in some countries, actually, including my own, the Netherlands, young women, when in full-time work, earn more. There's a positive gender pay gap than their male counterparts. But what you then see is that when children arrive in the household, the pattern reverses.
It becomes a very different story, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Willem, Adama, thank you so much for coming in. And finally, we head to Israel and the Palestinian territories, where women have joined forces to wage a campaign to put peace back on top of the political agenda. Recently, some 30,000 of them took part in a rally as they call on their respective leaders to return to the negotiating table. Our Jerusalem correspondent Iris Makler has the story.
Israeli and Palestinian women want to channel female energy to bring an end to this conflict. Women Wage Peace was formed after the Gaza War of 2014 by Israeli mothers, including French migrant Pascal Chen.
This is my responsibility to do something as a citizen, as a mother. And after the war, I realized that it's about time. I should do something. I should stop watching TV and crying in front of the screen.
They're holding marches across the country this autumn. They're hoping to unite women to push for peace. Palestinian and Israeli, old and young, Muslim, Christian and Jewish, and also left and right within Israeli society.
Many people that we don't know in the street coming, joining us, singing with us, dancing with us.
But for Palestinian women, it's different. They can't just join in. The only place Israelis and Palestinians can meet without permits is in a part of the West Bank known as Area C. So that's where the main Women Wage Peace rally is taking place.
The message is enough with violence, enough with hatred, enough with blood, enough with war. We need to work for peace.
Thousands of women walk together in the desert near the Dead Sea. Mingling freely, they say they feel that they are no longer enemies. They're heading for a tent named for Hagar and Sarah, the biblical mothers of the Muslim and Jewish peoples.
I am optimistic because if we're not, it means that we get frustrated, and frustration leads to dangerous consequences.
In the tent, Palestinian Lama Abu Akrub finally gets to meet Israeli Pascal Shen.
Giving unconditionally, loving unconditionally, it's women, and basically mothers and women in general. So when they get together, it's a huge power.
Critics say this is idealistic, not realistic. But Women Wage Peace believes soft power can lead to real results, to benefit both peoples.
And that story by Iris Mackler. And that's it for now. And if you like what you've just seen, you can head to our Facebook page and tell us what you think. That's France24.51%. Or do send us a tweet at _51%. Thanks for your feedback so far. And please do keep those comments and suggestions coming in. So until our next show, bye for now.